Hello and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakum. Today on the program, Chadian President Idriss Deby died from injuries sustained on the front line in war against insurgents. And later on the show, Ondo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal strikes out petition of PDP candidate Iyitayo Jegede for lack of jurisdiction. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Utitoju and Mojid Jamiu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. We'll start today's edition on a rather sad note. There is some gloom in Chad and indeed the Lake Chad region. The Chadian President Idriss Deby has died. The longtime leader passed away after sustaining injuries on the battlefield against rebels. He was 68 years old and his deaths could have grave impacts on security in the sub-region. Let's share some of the video of captured rebels by the Chadian troops with you. Babajide, Idriss is dead, Idriss Deby is dead, and it must have felt like a personal loss because it's a big setback on even the war against Boko Haram in our region. We remember the last time his exploits in the Lake Chad region that helped to bring about sanity in the Lake Chad region that was dominated hitherto by the Abanawi faction of the Boko Haram.
Yes, his death is a big loss, and it can complicate problems for us if Chad does not find a powerful leader to replace him. It can make matters worse because the truth is, you look at that region and outside of the region, you have Mali, you have
Libya,
northern Burkina Faso, you have Mauritania, you have Chad. In all of these places, there are insurgents with the same ideology, the same philosophy, the same modus operandi, trying to come into this region to foment trouble, trying to come into the Lake Chad basin to foment trouble. He has been the buffer, trying to stabilize that area, keep these insurgents at bay. I say they have the same philosophy because it is the same way that Boko Haram thinks that these fellows also think. They are products of war prosecuted by Al-Qaeda, products of war prosecuted by ISIS. So their own vision aligns with that of Boko Haram. And you could see that even Shekau was threatening Idriss Deby with death. That was around April last year. So this is the man, or this was the man who was helping to bring sanity to that area. In 2015, Boko Haram was a big threat to them in Cameroon. The president of Cameroon requested for the help of Chadian forces, and he released Chadian forces to them, and they stabilized northern Cameroon. Today, Boko Haram no longer constitutes the kind of threat that it used to constitute in northern Cameroon, where they were kidnapping foreigners and doing all kinds of things, even killing refugees in places like Fotokol, which is close to the border with Nigeria. They were doing all kinds of atrocities, but Cameroon asked for help from Chad, and he sent his troops. So now, even in 2015, just before the election, the government of Goodluck Jonathan requested for the help of Chadian troops, and he sent troops to Nigeria. They were posted to Borno North, and they were able, within a short time, they were able to take over some local governments that Boko Haram was in control of. Look at the role that he also played to clean out their own part of the Chad Basin to keep Boko Haram at bay. We lost an opportunity at that time to round up the war. But you can see what has happened now. He's gone. I just pray that his son, who has been named by the Transitional Military Council to succeed him, will be able to provide the kind of toughness, the kind of fearlessness, and the kind of threat that he constituted to the terrorists. Otherwise, if that place suddenly becomes lawless like most of Niger Republic is, it is Nigeria that will bear the greatest brunt.
Backlash. Now, Majid, is it not unusual for a world leader to be going to the war front on the front line himself?
He has proven several times that he's a soldier, he's a fighter. It's rather unfortunate that he died as a result of gunshot wounds that he sustained in that fight over the weekend. A lot of people have asked that question, whether it should actually be on the war front. Rather, it should be at the command post, dishing out instructions. But he has said severally, we have seen Idriss Deby leading battles even into Nigerian territory. I mean, it happened last year, where our soldiers were giving him a round of applause, were cheering him when he helped us to chase some of these Boko Haram insurgents. So, no doubt, his death will leave a vacuum, a very, very big vacuum, and I doubt if his son, Mahamat Kaka Deby, who was just 7 years old when his dad assumed leadership in 1990. I think he's about 37, 38 now. Is the new leader. And it also throws up some constitutional issues.
I did not practicing democracy. Yes. Just won an election with over close to 80% lead.
Even beyond
their constitution says the Speaker of the Assembly.
That is it, and that even if you don't have the Speaker of the Assembly, Article 17 of the Chadian Constitution says that in a situation where one of the two leading contenders in an election dies, like what we had in Kogi the other time, said there should be another election in 45 to 90 days. But in this case, the military has subtly taken over power, handed over to the next in line, who is a four-star general, Kaka Deby.
So it was never a democracy.
And also, I mean, in his first address to the nation earlier today, he has said he's going to be there for the next 18 months before holding an election, which runs contrary to the Constitution. The Constitution says 45 to 90 days. Now, that is if you, I mean, the power was handed over to the leader of the parliament, which is the Speaker. So there's a constitutional crisis brewing in Chad. Also, security crisis, like Jide has said earlier.
Okay. Now, the late Idriss Deby was not afraid to fight and die. In a video, he told the Chadians that he preferred to go and die in the battlefield rather than leaving witness to the chaos that would take place after. Let's hear Idriss Deby.
Un jour, un chef d'État prendre une arme et aller se battre. Vous croyez que je l'ai fait parce que je suis brave? Je l'ai fait parce que je suis courageux? Non. Je l'ai fait parce que j'aime ce pays et je ne veux pas le désordre s'installe dans ce pays. Donc j'ai préféré aller mourir sur le terrain et ne pas voir le désordre qui s'en suivra. Mais Dieu
I think he was bold and courageous. He said he doesn't think so, that it was just for the love of that country that he was doing that. But I can describe Idriss Deby, if you're a president of a nation and you want to lead the battle yourself.
You know, last year when he led his troops to go and chase Boko Haram out of the Lake Chad, the Chadian part of Lake Chad that they occupied, some Nigerians who are clearly paid were abusing him and saying, no, that it was fake. I was actually the target because they felt I was praising him for what he did.
I remember.
You remember?
We had
saying,
one edition that we spoke with the ambassador.
Yes, and the defense minister.
After, yes, that onslaught.
So they got angry about that and said no.
They weren't happy.
They weren't happy.
Like what Nigerian army could not do that.
That somebody did it, because I can't remember Nigerian army launching a ground offensive in that area.
Lake Chad.
There's no record of
when
that.
I asked you,
that Lake Chad
I asked you over and over again, and you told me that it was almost impossible, that we didn't have the wherewithal to dislodge these guys from there. They've taken over at the naval ship, if you remember.
They took away our boats that they seized at the headquarters of the Multinational Joint Task Force in Baga. They took away all those boats. I'm telling you that even the Navy did more than 1 year after they did not return to their base in Baga. I challenge anybody to say I lied. You know, these are things that we know because we go to the area. So they were now saying, oh, Idriss Deby did not go to the war front. He just did it for the cameras and all that.
Optics.
Yes. They think everybody is like that. Because if they had a choice, they can't face war. They are too cowardly to face war. Then they thought the president couldn't have done that, but he did that. And the evidence of that is what happened today. The rebel, he died from injuries that he sustained.
So that means he was actively...
Those guys launched an offensive from northern Libya. From northern Chad, from Libya. He went to lead the troops to confront them. They successfully killed about 300 of them, arrested more than 100. You can see we have videos of the people who were arrested and all that. And they were already jubilant. They were happy. Yes. And they were already happy that, okay, we have won this war. And yesterday, the Chadian Defense Forces announced that the operation had ended, that this is what happened. We lost some troops.
But they killed over 500.
They killed about 300. They killed about 300 and successfully, led by the president, decimated these guys, destroyed about 16 gun trucks. Destroyed about 16 gun trucks. So when that happened, they had already announced that, look, this operation has ended. Just the way they announced after the operation against Boko Haram ended. But the president had been injured in battle because Saturday and Sunday, he was still there fighting up till yesterday morning when the victory was declared. But he succumbed to his injuries this morning. You know, I was speaking with the ambassador to Chad, and I'm like, why does he always want to go to the war front? You can see what he said. These are the people that they arrested. They came all the way from Libya, but they are Chadians. Yeah, they are Chadians. The Chadian rebels fighting the government.
Yes, they said they want to take the battle down to, what's the name of that, their capital?
N'Djamena.
Yes, that they would have loved to take the battle to meet Idriss Deby, but Deby preferred to
go and meet them.
Yeah, he took the battle to them.
You know, it was Deby that defeated the army of Libya. When Libya, during Gaddafi's time, invaded Chad, he outflanked them. Of course, they will say, okay, it was with the support of France and all that. But it's on record that as army chief, he inflicted a decisive defeat on Gaddafi's forces. So it's not somebody who just suddenly became courageous today. He's been fighting, and he has a history of victory to his name. When Boko Haram killed more than 100 of his men in Bohoma, he said that that was the greatest defeat, greatest loss that Chadian troops had ever suffered on Chadian soil.
Look at that helicopter.
And he said, look, you are going to pay for this. He told the Boko Haram guy that you will pay for this.
Now, Mujid, Burkina Faso, Libya, Mali, what can the African Union do to bring peace to this area? Now, because the backlash of anything that happens in these countries will affect Nigeria indirectly. What happened in Libya is what we are still battling with till today. The proliferation of arms in Nigeria today can be adduced to the fall of Gaddafi and the way Libya has been divided, and Libya is like almost a failed state now.
Yeah, it's a very serious matter, and the death of Idriss Deby has been a unifying factor in terms of holding up, against those rebels, be it from Libya, from Mauritania, even the ones from Niger, Cameroon. It's like it holds a central point where, and they have a lot of respect for him, and that's why he's been able to conquer so many of these battles. He's been able to win so many of these battles and conquer the rebels. As we can see, those vehicles that you see FACT written on them are the vehicles of the Front for Change and Command. It's like a rebel force.
The rebellion,
the
government in
Change and Concord.
Yeah, yes, in Chad. So they shorten it as FACT, facts. So you see some of those vehicles that we have FACT written on them. Those are some of the vehicles he recovered from those troops from the rebels. So his death is no doubt, will no doubt leave a very, very huge vacuum. And it's it won't be out of place for the Chad Basin to, call for a referendum to find a way of holding on, because I don't know how skillful or powerful his son is, but I know that he will want to revenge the death of the father. It's just 37 years. I know he will have little blood. Whether he will want to go to battle the way his father used to do is something that calls for question. And for the military to quickly announce him as the successor means that they have a lot of respect for the family, president. Yeah, and for the departed president. So I hope they will be able to give the new leader the kind of support.
They turn into like monarchy immediately.
Of course.
No, they needed to do that. Because of stability.
Yeah, because of stability. It's something that calls for a lot of questions. As a matter of fact, a lot of people have described what happened as a coup d'etat. So, of course, you can actually call it a coup because the election was held on 11th of April, and results were coming in to show that, although final results are yet to be announced, but then it's leading with about 80%.
He was about to make his acceptance speech before he even went for that.
That is before he went for
they launched the offensive to coincide with the election.
So it's a very complex
The insurgents invaded Chad from Libya. Yes. Did you expect this turn of events?
I didn't. Yes, I know that Chad, they've always had to fight rebels, fought rebels for more than 40 years, and that has made the Chadian army one of the most seasoned fighting and battle-tested groups in the West African sub-region, because they are constantly fighting and they are used to this kind of insurgency that is actually new to us. They have had to fight it for 40 years. But I never expected that they could actually bring the battle to the door of Idriss Deby and cause his death. But that's the type of president, the kind of leader that he was. The ambassador told me that he would not listen, that he had led many battles that there was a time that they invaded from Sudan, you know, he repelled them, he joined his troops in repelling them. So he's always enjoyed fighting. And beyond being a soldier, he could also fly an airplane.
Yeah.
So he gave himself that kind of all-round training that he could confront any situation.
I'm amazed at the strength of the military, the Chadian army, the kind of capacity they have. Yeah. We always talk about it. I want you to talk about it again. As small as Chad is, for them to be as equipped as that.
Because some of the Western writers will tell you that he has impoverished his country to strengthen his military. The budget, when you look at the quantum of money that he has set aside to build his military, you know that this is somebody who really means business. I told you that Profos, a Nigerian company that builds MRAPs, these armored vehicles.
This one at Djibouti?
Remo. The Remo. They got a contract to deliver 100 MRAPs to Idriss Deby. So you ask the question, does the Nigerian army have 100 MRAPs? That's to tell you someone who truly wanted to be very strong. And Idriss Deby is building a huge industrial military complex in that country. So he already envisioned a military that would be difficult to confront. And that's why even in some African countries where we've had wars, they always look to him to help. Mali asked for help. He sent his troops to Mali, and they dealt with those Tuareg guys, to the point that even the commander of the Chadian Special Forces died in Mali. He's gone to Cameroon, he's gone to northern Burkina Faso, sent troops to all of those places. That's why I'm saying that I feel that it is even an African loss. Because if you have someone, even if it's just this sub-region that is trying to stabilize and deal with these terrorists who are making life difficult for people, once you don't have that kind of person anymore, unless all of his ideals can be sustained by his son, then there's no way that you won't feel his absence. So this is the thing. He has built that. I mean, they have capacity in terms of the Air Force, they have capacity in terms of the ground troops, and they have good weapons. You saw when he was going to invade the Boko Haram enclave, you saw, we played the video of the troops when they were returning.
I can't count the number of
the number of tanks, even tankers that they went with, so in case they needed refueling and all that. So you will see that he needed to send a message to Boko Haram, and he successfully sent that message. The quantum of Boko Haram weapons that were destroyed and seized definitely weakened the group. The greatest pain for me was that it was an opportunity to build upon that and deal with these guys decisively, but we never took that opportunity. We allowed them to regroup again.
The army in Chad has appointed Mohammed Idriss Deby, that's his son of the late president, to take over. What are the implications of this?
Just like I said earlier, I mean, it has great implications on democracy in that country. I mean, bearing in mind that the father also, the late Idriss Deby, transmuted from a military to civilian president. He's serving his 6th term. He's been there since 1990. You can't, no matter how...
Since 1990?
Yeah, he's been there since 1990. No matter how well we speak about him, I mean, he is not democratic. I mean, you can't claim that you are the best. You know it all. And now power is being also transferred to the son. I mean, are you guys running a dynasty in Chad? And so when the Constitution clearly states in section in Article 70 that in the case of the death of a president, I mean, the
It's clearly a military coup that has taken place because the parliament has been dissolved.
Yeah, it was after that they dissolved the parliament. It's after they dissolved the parliament.
The senior military guys and everything dissolved.
They've taken over power.
Yes,
they've taken over power.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lacuna now in Chad. Yes,
the military is in charge, family in charge. That's what has happened.
So it doesn't really speak well of democratic tenets in Chad. Although they are also looking at security implications, but I know that the best form of military rule is not as good as the worst form of democracy.
Yes,
to always be out there in mind.
We'll take this commercial break. We'll be right back after this time out. Thank you for staying with us. It's your favorite news and current affairs program reaching you live from the best TV station of the year. That's TVC News. And I have Babajide Kolade Otitoju still in the house and Mojid Jamiu. Gentlemen, Chad has said that it would hold elections 18 months after the death of Idriss Deby. Would this be a cheering news to the opposition?
I don't think so, because even this last election was punctuated by boycotts, and because Idriss Deby also did not allow people to protest. In some cases, protests were disrupted. So you couldn't say that election in which we had 80% of the vote was the way the opposition wanted it. Certainly, the opposition will be waiting to see what happens. Sometimes, out of this kind of situation, a true Democrat can emerge who will be committed to a smooth transition. We saw it with our own General Abdulsalami. He showed that he was not interested in staying in office for too long, for like Babangida and others. So he midwifed a smooth transition, and he handed over power in 1999. So elections conducted in 1998, and a new civilian regime happened. So I don't know what will happen with this boy who has taken over, but one thing is certain. Given the uncertainty and the way this happened, the military must have felt that the only way they can stay united and ensure that they had a strong government in place was to pick someone from the Idriss Deby military family. That means one of the people loyal to him, one of their own. With that, you can rally.
Factor.
Yes, you can rally supporters of Idriss Deby from within the army to back the new administration. So that must have been the reason they took this decision. So let's see, after 18 months, maybe the country will have been stabilized enough to allow real elections to take place and for power to change hands.
I have on the line Professor Kemi Rotimi, a professor of history, to give us the implication of the death of the strongman of Chadian, that country, Chad. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Prof.
Hello, Prof.
Hello, Prof.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah, we just lost the president of Chad, who had been of help to us in fighting the Boko Haram insurgency. What are the implications of this development?
Well, this is a sad day for Nigeria. First, I sympathize with the people of Chad over the death of their president, but it was a hero. I battle
clear.
That line is not clear. I'm sure my producer will try to reconnect with Prof. Now, let's go back to Deby's efforts of defeating Boko Haram. In February 2015, he sent troops to Nigeria. Do you see Chad coming into Nigeria to have that type of military campaign again. The charisma, the clouds, they were even able to enter into our territory to deal a decisive blow against the territory. I mean, insurgents.
Like I said earlier, we don't know the pedigree of Kaka Deby, Mahamat Kaka Deby, the incoming, the newly appointed leader who is replacing his father. We don't know his pedigree yet, but what I can say is that I think they have more internal and security stability issues to deal with in Chad now than to think of coming to assist us in Nigeria. So like Prof was trying to say, I mean, beyond being a sad day for them in Chad, it is a serious concern for us in Nigeria because, like I said earlier, Chad and is under Idriss Deby has been a stabilizing factor. I mean, is the only is one of the few countries that the Boko Haram insurgents actually have a respect and fear for. I mean, you can see, like Jide said earlier, you can see Chad under Deby, I mean, engaging the insurgents. I mean, Libya, Chad, even as far as Nigeria. Beyond, apart from 2015, it was at the Lake Chad basin, and that connects us, connects Nigeria and Chad about 12 months ago, where I mean, he did a lot of a fantastic job there to the applaud. I mean, that our soldiers had to applaud him. So it's a serious, his death is a serious blow to security concerns for us in Nigeria.
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Okay, you were saying that it's a sad day for Nigeria. I want to know the implication of the death of Idriss Deby.
Very grave implication for Nigeria, because Idriss Deby was a pillar of sport in the matter of combating Boko Haram. And as Babajide has said on several occasions on your program, we lost a major opportunity to deal with Boko Haram insurgents when started to them after the gambit of killing last year. Now, Idriss Deby is gone. I am worried about the Libyanization of Chad following the demise of Idriss Deby, because putting his son in charge is just a temporary arrangement. If the guy lasts 6 months, that will be a big deal. But I'm worried. The removal of Idriss Deby from the scene poses a lot of threats. Infiltration of small arms and light weapons into Nigeria, runaway bandits, and then disaffected soldiers. And let us bear in mind, Chad is not an oil-producing country. So that will complicate the policies of Chad. And there will be very many interests wanting to take charge. So the dissolution of Chad, which looks very imminent following the demise of the strong man, it happened in Libya. No cause to think that it did not happen in Chad. So for Nigeria, this is going to complicate our problem of combating insurgents. Because Boko Haram, ISWAP, and ISIS are sure to draw substantial inspiration from the death of a man who has been their nemesis. And you can see the commitment of Idriss Deby in pursuing insurgents in the north to the point of even losing his life. So it's a sad day for Nigeria. I am not amused at all. In fact, I'm distressed. The omens are bad.
I feel too.
So in terms of proliferation of arms, what happened to Libya? You know, we felt the impact of the death of Muammar Gaddafi. So are you saying because we share the same border with Chad that it's going to have a negative impact?
Chad is too close to us for comfort. I mean, those of us who have been to Maiduguri, I remember that I saw people going to do business in Chad, leaving in the morning and returning in the evening. So, and we have no borders really. I mean, a bit of hope, and we'll put that in quotes, is that the new CDS used to be the man in charge of the Joint Task Force, headquartered in India. How do you operate that Joint Task Force now in the light of the collapse of Chad? I am worried. I am worried. There's no way we can stop the massive influx of arms and the disaffected runaway soldiers into the northeastern corridor of Nigeria. It's a sad day for Nigeria.
Okay. Ultimately, what we are looking at here now is that, is there any way that we can make sure that our border, the Chadian border, that we'll do something about it so that we won't have arms coming in from Chad right now?
Even when the strong man lived, we couldn't prevent the influx of small arms and light weapons. Now that the strong man is gone, there's going to be lots in charge. So there is no way we can prevent the influx of small arms and light weapons into Nigeria unless the Nigerian armed forces will redouble their efforts. I mean, we already have this insecurity challenge that we're battling nationwide now. It is going to get in that corridor. So the CDS has his work cut out for him, he along with the service chiefs. So all of the agencies connected with security in Nigeria, customs, immigration, what is it called? These immigration services. And then, everybody must wake up and see what they can do to prevent the influx, massive influx of small arms and light weapons into Nigeria. But it's a challenge. I'm just hoping that the new team, the new security chiefs in Nigeria will rise to the occasion.
I want to thank you, Professor Kemi Rotimi, for your intervention. Thank you, Professor of History, Kemi Rotimi. We've seen, he has painted the picture. This is how the former President Olusegun Obasanjo told us that, look, if anything should happen to Gaddafi in Libya, that there's going to be trouble. So this is like another thing. This Prof is telling us that Chad is too close.
Of course
to
it
us.
is. Of course it is.
It has been the bridge. It has been the bridge.
The kind of
those,
buffer, stopping.
Yeah.
The truth is, when you look at Boko Haram attacks between January 1 and March 17, 212 attacks in Nigeria. That's from my swap. Only one attack in Chad. So you then in Niger Republic, 9 attacks. That's to tell you that one, we are the epicenter of it. Yeah. And 2, only one attack in Chad suggests to you that that man has dealt with the threat of Boko Haram or ISWAP effectively. Only one attack in such a long period. So now, without such a strong leader in that place, there's every reason to be worried. The governor of Borno State had to go there to pay the President Deby a visit because he felt that with Deby, his area could be better secure. And you know, there are many Nigerians also who are IDPs in Chad. He had to thank the governor of Borno State, thank Idriss Deby for taking care of Nigerian IDPs who are in that country. Yeah. I'm wondering how Governor Zulum is feeling now, because he even suggested to the president at that time that he should allow Chadian forces to come into Nigeria to help us in this fight. That is the level of confidence that he had in the ability of not just Deby, but his troops. So I can only imagine how Governor Zulum is feeling. It must be a big personal blow to him, because here was someone that he met and here was someone that he took as a friend. Okay, what should our armed forces do in the aftermath of this extraordinary event in Chad? Like Prof suggested, this is a time for our army chiefs to redouble their efforts and re-strategize because we could be having a clear and present danger in our hands. Like we said earlier, Chad has been a major buffer, a stopgap, a bridge between Nigeria and those insurgents coming from their breeding ground, which is Libya. So now that we have sort of like a weak government, the major obstacle has been removed now. I mean, before they stabilize, the onus is on our army chiefs to rise to the occasion and probably redouble their efforts and I think push more strategy towards the Chad basin.
before we have something that will blow out of proportion or out of control.
These are head in charge events. We definitely decide what will happen in the northeastern part of the country. It has
coincided with the time when we are having an escalation in attacks by Boko Haram, especially in Borno North. Escalation in attacks, creating more checkpoints, launching more attacks on troops formations, launching more attacks on civilians. So I just hope that we can double our efforts and ultimately defeat these guys. Whenever we inflict a total defeat on them, even Idriss Deby will be happy in his grave.
When we have the challenge with small and light arms all over the country, east, west,
they are coming in. Niger is there. Niger is the major point through which they come into our country, not even Chad. Because the problem is, when they enter Niger, and when they enter Chad, they then pass through Niger, because Niger has a far more extensive border with Nigeria. Our border with Chad is a very small one, if you look at the map. But with Niger, there are not less than 6-7 Nigerian states that share border with Niger. And arms are coming in through all these places.
Okay, moving on now. It is Judgment Day in Ondo State regarding the October 10, 2020 governorship election, and the All Progressive Congress, APC, came out victorious. The State Election Petition Tribunal, sitting in Akure, struck out the petition filed by the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the election, Iyitayo Jegede, for lack of jurisdiction. Chairman of the tribunal, Justice Umar Abubakar, who delivered the judgment virtually, said the issue raised in the petition are internal affairs of the political party. Jegede said he would consult his counsel to know the next line of action. Let's take some reactions on the verdict.
One victory. It was victory, double victory. And we had people who went to court, 7 political parties who went to court against us at the federal court. Their case also was dismissed. There's no other thing. All I can say to you is that it is not me.
First, to give glory to God for what the Lord has done in the life of APC. And what the Tribunal 2 did today is a thing of joy for all democratic institutions.
Babajide, Iyitayo Jegede, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, is a senior advocate of Nigeria.
Yes.
Why do you think it would take a kind of post-election or pre-election matter to the tribunal, and it will give way for this easy knockout? Yes, as in lack of
wasting the
jurisdiction.
time of the court.
Lack of jurisdiction.
Honestly, abuse of court process, wasting the time of the court. Because you should know that the tribunal does not entertain such matters.
Anything outside the election.
The conduct of the election, whether the election was conducted in contravention of the Electoral Act, or it was conducted in
circumstantial compliance,
with compliance, in full compliance or substantial compliance with the Electoral Act, is what tribunals deal with. That's why it's called Election Petitions Tribunal, meaning that the petitions arising from the conduct of the election
held on October 10th,
yes.
Not before.
Not before. Anything that has to do with the conduct of the election that day, that is what the tribunal should entertain. I don't know those who advise our politicians. Politicians are extremely optimistic people. Somebody will tell you that
senior advocate of Nigeria.
That is a politician. Once he becomes a politician, he becomes an incurable optimist like the rest of them.
Yeah.
The politician will tell you that he can go. Let me tell you, a politician will tell you that, look, I can win. It's not in the APCO. He will tell you that I can win election by landslide in Yobe State. Whereas, if they wake the APC up from sleep, he staggers out of bed, it will still win election in Yobe and Borno State. They are one-party states in those places. Since 1999, it's the same political tendency that has been winning elections in those places. You can imagine somebody
like
contesting for speaker.
Akwa Ibom.
A speaker in
Akwa
Borno
Ibom
State.
and
This is our friend Abdul Karim. Other candidates said, no, we are not contesting against you. Have you ever seen that? They left defeat to him. Because it's a waste of time. And in Borno State, the only time you see them coming for election is when we are weeks to an election. After the election, those parties die politically. Only a few weeks to election, they resurrect and attempt to come and contest in a one-party state. Now with a governor like Zulum, who is hugely popular, probably the most popular governor in Nigeria today, how does any other party go there to win? It's not a question of, Jide likes APC, Jide is Tinubu's boy, because that is what some unthinking people say. It's not, that's not an issue of Jide loves APC. It is the truth. And whoever thinks that's not the truth should go and win election there, let us see.
The same thing.
The same thing in
states,
yes.
Up south.
Or Cross River, or
Akwa Ibom.
Akpabio once said something that stuck into my head. He said that the PDP is like Bible in Akwa Ibom. Everybody, you carry it, you are going.
So he himself stepped out of PDP.
And lost.
They showed him that
That
is a Bible. When he was boasting during one of the campaigns of the APC that, everybody has joined the APC in Akwa Ibom State. I said, see this man fooling the president. How can you say everybody has joined the APC? You know in your heart that you are lying. At the end of the day, it was an overwhelming defeat for APC.
For him.
In that state. They didn't win a single local government.
So there's some states, no-go area.
They didn't win.
For the APC.
They didn't win a single local government.
See, on this Ondo matter, I was like, you wonder how a senior advocate of Nigeria could allow himself to be so deceived.
Let's talk about the issue of jurisdiction.
Yeah, because now, when they went to court, Ejita Ojegere went to court to challenge the legitimacy of the Buni-led caretaker chairmanship of APC.
Yes.
Whether they have the right to field Akeredolu and Lucky Ayedatiwa as. Can you imagine? That's what he went to challenge.
It's lucky that they didn't call him busybody.
He didn't talk about the election that held where he was badly beaten.
That legality
It was
of the fact of the Buni-led exco to
produce to field
to even conduct primaries.
Now the tribunal told him that, oh boy, that is not your business. It is the business of the internal
APC members.
Of APC members.
It reminds me of Mama Taraba's case.
You are not in APC.
It's not Eitayo's business alone. That is not even our business.
Yes,
not our business.
For the regular courts to handle.
This court lacks
the tribunal does not have
to handle that case, and that even the case itself lacks merit. Are you
even sure it has not been filed out of time?
Oh,
because there is a time frame within which you can file those.
And October last year, 180 days.
A long time.
Yeah, as incurable optimists as they are, I see Ejitayo still going to the appellate court.
And that's what I'm saying.
Lawyers want
these
to
are optimists. These are extreme optimists. That's what our politicians are. Somebody will still tell him, look, don't be too despondent. You can still win.
And they will give you.
And you see someone who joined a small
party. They might cite the example of Uzodinma, who came from fourth position.
Fourth position to become number one. Not everybody can be like Uzodinma.
It would have better.
And that one is hope. So they will give him hope.
I'm sorry.
It would have been better if Eitayo had gone to a regular court.
Yes.
To say,
regular court.
I feel that you can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. That this caretaker committee is not in APC's constitution, and
you out of time.
At the level of those regular courts. That's what you should have done. You cannot go to tribunal. At this stage, even those of us who are journalists, and we have been seeing many people lose cases like this, we can't even take this kind of risk. We can't waste our money in this manner. We journalists, because we've seen Mama Taraba and several other people.
Yeah.
lose cases like this.
Purely an
It is
internal
the
affair.
disgruntled people within the APC who can file this kind of action that, look, this Bune and Co. should not have presided over the primaries.
They will tell him that it doesn't have the local standard.
Yes.
It doesn't.
They will say you are a busybody that
you are
prognosing into another party's affair. Leave the people. If you can rouse some people within the APC and they sue, if they win, then maybe you can benefit one way or another. Because it's not even your issue. It happened even with, I think, Darius Ishaku.
Okay.
You know? So there have been many cases like that you expect an Eita Ojegede to have learned some lessons.
They never learn.
Alaji Moji Dami, we're counting now.
Yes, so.
Yes, Ramadan is on.
It gets
Ramadan
gone.
Karim.
He's even threatening me that on Saturday that I'm not invited to his house. I said, because of what?
No, but
because I said Manchester United is leading us now with 20 points. Is it not true?
There is a committee on this Amala.
That will screen me out.
Yes.
We said this yesterday.
Now I know you are not my friend. I will tell my wife.
Lambe. If you remember, he imported from Lambe.
We go back a long time ago. Both of us,
from Lambe.
were living in that area before he abandoned us.
We are monitoring all comments.
After he started spending dollars, he abandoned the rest of us there.
Thank you for your contribution. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. Don't forget to join us every Sunday for Journalist Hangout on Sunday, 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.